I still can't believe Jack used that picture of me. That was taken at Brighton SEO, by the way, and it was on the seafront after about, let's say, 10 hours of conferencing. I was very tired and did not want my picture taken out at my own. Anyway, hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode in the second season of Let's Do Lunch. Again today, joined by two amazing guests. Before I introduce you to them, just want to quickly note that Pip, our MD, is going to be on a little bit later on with our 90-second tip. And of course, as ever, it's going to make a difference to potentially your website or your marketing strategy moving forward. And if you want to see more tips, hit subscribe on our YouTube channel. We've got a playlist full of them, and you'll be able to go back, watch more interviews that we've done on Let's Do Lunch, and also check out more of the things that we're doing here at Digital Beans behind the scenes. And of course, you'll be reminded of every single live show we have coming up. Right. Let's get into it then, shall we? Today's a big one. And today's show, we're going to be talking a lot about business, about grassroots sports, and about sports brands and clubs as well, and how they move forward and what they've been up to during lockdown too. So first of all, I want to introduce you to someone who's sitting with us and is going to be having a virtual lunch as part of this group, Michael Jackson. He is the CEO of Elite Sports Marketing UK. He works a lot with sports clubs and brands to help identify different opportunities within marketing and other brand positional senses as well. Michael, great to have you on. Thank you for being here for this very, very sporty special. I suppose the first question to ask you is, did you watch any of the football last night?
I did, and thank you for having me, Ben. I did watch the football last night, and really standard stuff, isn't it? There's controversy with the goal line technology, and then on top of that, it's same old, same old. Arsenal getting a good kicking from Manchester City, so nothing new there.
No, nothing new there. And as you say, the controversy was in there. I think Ryan, we'll come over to you now, Ryan, as well, actually. Ryan Briggs, who's with us today. Ryan, at the age of 9, joined West Ham and progressed into the youth training scheme at 16 before signing a professional contract there. He was part of the 1999 FA Youth Cup winning team that included Joe Cole and Michael Carrick. That's something that you don't hear everyone brag about, Ryan. Now he's trying to help others by volunteering as the head of partnerships at Kings Hill Football Club. He's also heavily involved in the financial side of things as well with his business he works for too, which we'll get into in a bit. But Ryan, as Michael hit on there, football returned last night, business as usual really in the grand scheme of things, but you mentioned a good point about the atmosphere. How did you find watching it at home?
Yes, thanks for having me, Ben, and pleasure to be here. It was strange. It was great on one hand to be watching football again. I don't know if many other people chose the different options on Sky, where you could either watch with the crowd noise or without the crowd noise, obviously the crowd sound effect, but it was a strange one. But yeah, just good to see some football again, really. See some goals with a Man City game and a bit of drama and some controversy, as Michael said. So good to be back in it, and there's plenty of games coming up that I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah, of course, two guys heavily involved in sport and football, so I wanted to quickly get the opinions of that. Of course, this whole chat isn't just going to be about football and sports. We're going to jump into the deeper things as well, about lockdown life, adaptations from businesses, because let's remember, sports clubs, football clubs, sports stars, they might be individuals, but they're also brands, they're also businesses. So they've had to adapt and do things differently during lockdown too. So it'd be good to learn and see what they're doing. I suppose, actually, that's a perfect time to sort of come over to you, Michael. I mean, you work a lot within the industry, you work with a lot of different clubs, you work with a lot of different brands. So, football and sport's been away, but that doesn't mean that all of their revenue machines have completely stopped, does it? So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing for clients during lockdown.
Yeah, so for me, it's kind of been business as usual, simply because next season is going to happen, right? No matter how things fell in regards to the coronavirus, and obviously everyone is watching the numbers on a daily basis to kind of understand where we are in the grand scheme of things. But clubs simply have to prepare for next season. So, you have Premier League teams who are coming to the end of their contract for the front of shirt, so need a front of shirt for next season. Sleeves, back of shirts, back of shorts in the Championship, front of shirts in the Championship. So these deals still have to be done. So it's been hard because on one side, you've got football clubs who have potentially furloughed their staff, so they can't actually work. So what do you do if you have an opportunity for that club and you can't actually get hold of the people you need to get hold of? On the flip side, you've obviously got businesses that are also furloughed. But I have found myself to be extremely busy during this period of time, because I think most businesses have understood that whether it's for their own needs or whether it's because of the football season being what it is, they know deals have needed to be done. So, I've had a reasonable, if I'm honest, I've had a very good lockdown in regards to deals getting done. Most of them haven't been announced yet for obvious reasons. They're going to wait for things to come back. And in some cases, we've done front of shirt deals, but the season hasn't finished. So the current partner is still on there. So you can't really go in and say, hey, we've got a new front of shirt for next season, right, whilst the current partner is still on the front of shirt. So there is some waiting to be done, but that's all coming in sort of July, August, September time.
Yeah, and of course, I think we can all relate to trying to close a deal and then having an out of office because of a furlough situation. I think that's something that a lot of people have come into over the past 12 weeks. And obviously things are starting to get back to normal now, but just really interested to hear about how you've adapted doing those deals. So obviously a lot of business people love doing a face-to-face and a handshake when a deal's completed, and there's no one more who loves a handshake than a sports business person trying to complete a deal. Handshakes are in. So what have you been doing, and have you been doing it differently, Michael?
In all honesty, not very different. So I'm quite lucky. Everyone's sort of saying, how you dealing with lockdown, how things change for you, etc. Very little has changed for me because I work from home anyway. So before the lockdown, so that's something I was used to. I have a son who has high functioning autism, so he actually is schooled from home. So I was already working from home. My son was already educated at home. The massive change for me was the lack of Starbucks visits. That was the real kicker for me, and still is. I hear on the grapevine that my local Starbucks is opening this week. So God bless that. But the issue has been, and there are ways to get around it, of course. But I remember calling up one club about their front of shirt, and I had a client who was very interested in it. And they said, well, look, I'm on furlough. There's literally nothing I could do. So it's a weird situation where you call up the club and say, hey, I've got something for you. And they say, thanks, come back in 3 months. But there are ways around those things, right? There are people, typically the owners are not furloughed, and typically, the absolute necessary people have to be furloughed. But it's a real mixed bag. I know clubs that have furloughed their commercial staff, their people who are there to generate money for the club, sponsorship, etc. They furloughed those, but have kept on their hospitality people, which makes no sense, right? Because there's no hospitality going on during lockdown. So it's weird, but in the main, clubs have tried to continue to work through it, to get deals done because they have to. There is no two ways about it. It is odd, right? Because typically, especially when it comes to front of shirt sponsorship, and this goes whether it's Premier League down to League Two, whether it's rugby league, rugby union, there is typically a point in the year, and typically that would be April, where most front of shirts are signed, done, delivered, and taken care of. In January, there were 5 front of shirts in the Premier League that were available. And up until last week, before Everton announced their deal with Kazoo, there were still 5 front of shirts available in the Premier League. So that's new. But yeah, it's interesting, and we'll probably never see anything like this again, which is probably a positive thing. But I think it will change the way businesses and clubs do their business, and I think it will have an effect on the kind of value of those assets as well. Where I think they've had a long time of getting good money for the assets that they have. I think this is going to have had an effect massively. I mean, if you think of betting companies, for example, how hard they've been hit, and betting is, a major player in regards to sponsorship in top flight football, at least. How many of those betting companies coming back?
On that, sorry, Michael, on that quickly, on the value, and actually I'll bring Ryan in on this in a minute as well with his financial background. Of the value, and in terms of the money that the clubs are making, and in terms of the amount of revenue they spend, not just on players, but deals and outgoings, etc. Do you think that the pandemic is going to have a long-term positive or a negative effect on the sporting economy? So stuff like football transfer fees, shirt sponsorship, tournament prize money, all the sponsorship deals. How do you think that's going to play out? How's that going to be affected?
It's going to be a mixed bag. I think the top end sponsorship, the front of shirts and things like that, I think you're going to start seeing the prices come down. I think at the top end, when you're thinking Champions League and things like that, they're still going to, make a hell of a lot of money. And I don't see that changing because it tends to be the global brands, those with very, very deep pockets. So it doesn't really affect them. What might cost a major global brand £40 million to be a partner of the Champions League, their pockets are probably so deep that 40 million doesn't really, scratch the surface. So I don't see that changing. And Kazoo are a perfect example. Kazoo, you may have seen the adverts on the TV, but they're a very new brand. And so it was a strange one to see. Very exciting. It's a new brand into the football world, and I'm sure Everton are quite happy with that. But I think the days where the Coca-Colas and the major brands who used to do front shirts and title sponsorship, that's not going to be happening anymore. So I think it is going to be those kind of middle brands where you may have heard of or may not have heard of, but they're there or thereabouts in the kind of middle tier. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. And because of that, because it's not the guys with the deep pockets, the numbers are going to be smaller. But I think that's good all round. And just very quickly, because I'm sure Ryan wants to jump in on this, but you've really got to separate the club, the transfers, the players, the football pitch. You've got to separate that from the commercial side because they are very two different animals. There is no money that the club has that's spent on players that is given or taken away from the commercial aspects, the sponsorship, etc. So they are very two different sides to the club, and they don't really touch each other.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, Ryan? Because we see football, and Michael's hitting on it there, as these big financial powerhouses. They've got X, Y, and Z revenue. They pay X amount for transfer fees. Players get paid X amount. But it's interesting there to hear about sort of what that impact would be without a Coca-Cola doing a sponsorship deal. In terms of the Champions League as well, these tournaments, they've all got sponsors. So they need to keep the sponsorship monies coming to keep funding what they do. And you can relate that to real business as well and real commercial opportunities as well. So when it comes to the financial game of sports in general, Ryan, do you think the pandemic is going to really, really hit clubs and sports brands?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's going to affect all levels. It might not affect maybe the Premier League as much, but I think as you work your way down, as Michael said, the Championship and down the leagues and even into non-league, and then grassroots, it's had a massive impact. I've read recently that for some of the non-league teams that are managing to still play or have played some of their games, they saw an increase actually in audiences of fans coming to watch because there isn't any other football. But I don't think that's going to last too long, and hopefully we can just get back to normality really, and just start again. It's going to have a big impact. I mean, just talking quickly about the local football club that I'm involved with, Kings Hill Football Club, is a grassroots community amateur sports club, and financially it's been massively hit, especially at this time. It probably couldn't have come at a worse time, but we have two key events over the summer, a tournament weekend and our club presentation day. And they're the two main events that bring in most of the money for the whole year, that covers all the costs, all the fees for the players to play. There's over 40 teams that play at the club, from under sixes right the way through to the first team. And without that money, it's very hard for all the volunteers that work on the committee and within the club to make the football happen. So it's affected all levels, and I am concerned really for the lower levels and sort of grassroots level of football of how they're going to get through it, and you're going to see some teams already. We've seen teams that have folded and can't continue, really, just haven't got the funds to do it.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch that journey, as you say, especially with the lower league clubs and the local football clubs as well. And as you say, at grassroots really need our help right now to keep those community clubs going. One sort of positive thing I do want to sort of hit on is the change of advertisements on a match day. I found it really interesting last night watching Man City against Arsenal. And I don't know if you picked up on this, Michael, but the sponsorship boardings around the side, I spotted Zoom, I spotted Wix, and these are two brands which never would have ended up on an electronic screen board around the side of a live Premier League game, especially of that magnitude, before the pandemic.
Yeah, and I get it, and then also, you know, Villa and the Villa Sheffield United games, they had the big sort of covers over the seats with their partners on it, and you know, it's clever and it's a quick win as well, because you know that wouldn't have been very expensive. So you know, for the likes of Zoom and others, you know, they wouldn't be throwing massive money at it. At the same time, it helps the clubs generate a little bit of extra income. And if nothing else, even if they're not making money on it, it's better than having bare seats. It's better than having sort of that empty space. And what the clubs are trying to do with the live TV games is to kind of make sure, to try and give you that sense that, you know, the stadium isn't empty, right? Because what you're seeing is coverings and things like that. You're not seeing the empty seats. And, you know, that is a clever way to do it. Obviously, Sky with their audio addition as well to help kind of make the fan, the audio for the fans, etc. That kind of helps. The clubs are trying to make normality, you know, within a very difficult situation, because you turn the sound off on those games and it's uncomfortable. You know, it feels weird. So things like that certainly help. And I think, you know, we've watched 2 games. I guarantee you, like 80+% of the rest of the games will be doing something similar, or they'll be putting their own sort of swing on it. They'll look at the assets and look around the pitch, and you know, anywhere that they can kind of advertise, they'll be trying to either generate revenue for it or just fill the gaps, essentially. Yeah, and of course the opportunities are there. Just one final one on that side of things, Ryan. I want to bring this one to you. How important is it for sports to be back in a live setting for the whole economy?
Oh, thanks for coming to me for that one, Ben. That's a big question.
I thought it was perfect for you, Ryan. You look like the guy who was going to get nail the answer.
Lucky I rehearsed this. Huge. I think in for different reasons. Obviously, financially, economically, there's so much money involved in sport. Football, unfortunately, some say is more of a business these days, but it feeds people and pays a lot of people's wages. But I think also for the country as a whole, you know, I've been watching feedback from real football fans that have missed it. I've definitely missed it, you know, just seeing some football just on telly, not even live. I'm not sure if my wife's missed it that much. But it's massive for the whole country, and not just football. I think, you know, there's other sporting events that have been rescheduled that might be coming back in later in the year, hopefully. You know, as a country, we get behind our sports. We're really passionate about them, and I think it gives us all a bit of a boost, something to talk about on the Monday morning at work, and hopefully we can get some more other sports involved and back on our screens, and hopefully when the time's right, you know, live, going to see these sports live as well will be a massive step, hopefully.
Can I just quickly jump in there, Ben? Because I've got to call Ryan out on something he said there. He said that he's been looking forward to football returning. Now, Ben's a West Ham fan, so I just wanted to call out his massive lie there, because as a West Ham fan, you cannot be looking forward to the return of football. 2 reasons. Firstly, you've only got to look at their fixture list for the rest of the season. Second of all, why are you looking forward to Championship football?
Very good, Michael. A really friendly chat yesterday to get to know each other before this, so I see that's all out the window. So there are, as you pointed out, 2 West Ham fans on here and only 1 Chelsea, so be careful. And secondly, I'm positive. I think it's going to be tight. I'm really pleased that the season is going to finish because it means a massive amount at the top end for the likes of Liverpool, but also at the bottom. And it's going to be a bit of a scrap for the teams down there. I think the results from yesterday from the Villa game, there's quite a few teams on the same points, and it's going to be really fun to watch. And typically West Ham will get through it somehow and will remain in the Premier League again, obviously.
Lost your audio there, Ben, I think.
I think that the IT guy must be a Chelsea fan, Michael, I think.
West Ham, he doesn't want to hear it anymore. According to your mic's off apparently. No, we've got a mic. Yeah.
We're gonna try and sort it out.
But yeah, just to continue the conversation while he's trying to fix it out, I agree. I mean, there's a 3 or 4 way fight, isn't there? You've got West Ham, Watford, Aston Villa, and it'll be interesting. It can go either way, but I just, if I'm a West Ham fan, I'm sitting there looking at the fixture list and I am frightened.
Because they're playing against, higher teams, or I've always felt West Ham, funnily enough, play their best against the higher teams or the better teams.
Well, I think you've literally got the top 6 to come. I know you've got Chelsea, I think you've got Liverpool, and I think you've got Man City, and then your audio is showing us off. It's got a mic with a line through it, so it's still showing us off, and now it's gone. So yeah, that's kind of why I think.
On our own, Michael.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just take over the show.
yeah. But
guys, I'm so sorry.
Oh, he's back.
I should be back. So I had this problem earlier on. Frustratingly, the microphone keeps dying on me, and then I keep losing all audio input on my whole MacBook.
That's right. We did a wonderful job taking care of it, I think.
You definitely did. No, I do just want to quickly hit back on something you were saying earlier on. Sorry, Ryan, just to jump back to it. And I want to quickly just run back to grassroots, because we are going to run out of time. And I also know that my audio now is going to completely play up through the rest of it. So I do apologise for that. I want to go back to grassroots quickly and the impact you've seen firsthand in Hill of how the lockdown affected the people who take part in the club, and sort of moving forward, why grassroots is important to sort of get back for everybody, really.
You cracked up a little bit there, Ben. Just talking about grassroots and from the club's point of view, as I mentioned, that the financial side has been massive, just to generate revenue, to cover all the costs, to make the club tick and to provide football for the local community. We're involved in we set up just over a year ago a business partnership. So although we're obviously, the football club's not a Man United or any sort of size like that, it was important to try and engage with local businesses and get them involved, get their help financially, to help cover the costs, as I say, but also to try and bring local businesses together to start meeting each other and trying to do business with each other. So that's been really important. And I actually got a statement from the chairman of the football club, Ian Ball, just thanking all the business partners, really, because we're not talking thousands and thousands, but the money that has been generated from that business partnership has kept the club going to a certain degree. It's paid for a lot of the new equipment that has been needed for all the teams, for all the different ages. It's covered the costs of various different things, and it was nice just to get a bit of a thank you to all the business partners from the football club. And I think that the club recognise how important that is for local business to get involved and support, whether it's financially or also on the volunteer side of things. A lot of lower level clubs and grassroots clubs are absolutely reliant on people in the local community, local business and residential community getting involved with the club and helping out. So I think we've seen a bit more of that recently. We've been trying to keep the children, the kids involved by having sort of competitions and designer kit competitions, keep up competitions. They've been doing some great stuff, having online training sessions every day where the youngsters can sign in. So they've done what they can. They've done what they can, as I'm sure a lot of clubs have been up and down the country.
Can you hear me again now, or have I gone again?
Yeah,
hear me again. Okay, cool. I don't know what's going on with all this technology, at the moment. I feel really, really bad with it all. No, it is important, like you say, about grassroots. And I know that my nephews and people who I know who obviously go and train and play for local clubs, they're really missing it. And they're missing not just playing sport for their fitness and for their well-being, but also being around people, because grassroots football has a real community feel to it, doesn't it? Yeah,
definitely. As I say, there's over 40 teams at Kings Hill, and it's just going and watching the games, having a cup of tea or a coffee or a beer afterwards. I've missed that as well. The first team games, trying to go along as much as I can. I've got a young family, so it's not always easy, but just it brings everyone together, and win, lose or draw, it's great for the community to come together and watch the different age groups. Obviously, for the parents to go along and see their sons and their daughters playing. We've got quite a few more girls teams. We're looking at possibly a women's team as well. So it affects everyone. It's a massive part of our community anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I just want to end on one final question to you both. We'll come to you first, Michael. Just about opportunities moving forward. So obviously for e-commerce and for a lot of businesses out there, there's a big digital opportunity for them to expand, not just what they can contribute to a community, what they can sell, what they can do to make revenue, what they can do to just sort of bring more eyes to their products or to their business. Is there anything in the sports world that you sort of got an eye on? Or do you think that the biggest change is going to be maybe different type of sponsors? So maybe more like e-commerce stores and online stores, maybe paying the bigger bucks because they're the guys who have got the forefront into the market and they're entering it. Do you see any potential virtual or digital opportunities out there for clubs and brands?
Yeah, I think that, you've touched on a few things there, and I think they're all correct, to be quite frank. So, I've seen personally myself with some of the deals that I've done in lockdown are coming from technology companies. And yes, at the very top end, there are technology companies already in the sports world, not just football, but rugby and cricket as well. But now we're seeing that kind of middle and lower tier companies who are coming in and sponsoring at a high level as well. So I think we're seeing a mix of stuff. But also there is a lot more in the last 18 months, and coronavirus has really just amplified it, really, that we're seeing a lot of businesses who are, yes, interested in the exposure they get from the business, from the club, and what that does for their business, new customers, etc. But also they're very interested in the CSR. They're very interested in getting involved in the grassroots with that football club. They're very interested in getting involved in the charity. So it's no longer about how can we get our product, our name out there, how can we get our product sold. It's really, businesses are now more interested in, so 18 months ago, if someone asked about CSR, what can we do to get involved, the club would say, okay, well, you can do this. Now it's much more an integral part of the negotiation. So it's very interesting. That's very interesting for starters. The women's game is also, again, and I think certainly after the Women's World Cup, more and more, I'm having more and more conversations about the women's game. Not only football, but rugby as well. So I think we are seeing a change. What coronavirus has done is really sort of focus digital assets, right? Because, why things are down, you're not getting into the hospitality, you're not getting into in-stadium activation. So it's all been about the digital. And going forward, I think we'll just see more of that. So yeah, coronavirus, if there is a positive to come out of it in the sports world, is it's made clubs move from their very comfortable seats, right? They are now having to think on their feet, come up with new ways. And there are some great clubs out there that do things really well, not just Premier League clubs, but, the likes of Derby, the likes of Leeds, the likes of Norwich City. There's some really good clubs that do a really good job of changing things up. And so I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited. It will be a very interesting next 12 months.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's right to have that excitement, because with new things come new possibilities. And I think there's a lot of new possibilities out there for everyone. And Ryan, from a financial point of view, obviously education plays a big part in that.
Yes, yeah. So our big focus, we're in the sort of financial planning and wealth management space. But a big focus for us now, and has been over lockdown, is delivering financial education and guidance to businesses, to business owners, to their employees. We're looking at talking to some sports clubs as well, because I think what we've learned over this situation is that we need that financial education to understand how to possibly prevent some of the issues and challenges that we've faced. There's been a lot of opportunity to spend some time thinking about our own personal financial situations, and hopefully having plans in place to have enough funds behind us to get through these sorts of periods. The same for businesses, to have sort of cash reserves to get through. We was meant to be delivering face-to-face financial education programs to companies from sort of January, February. So obviously that didn't happen. So Michael was saying about companies sort of thinking on their feet. We had a few companies that we had committed to delivering this to, who wanted to go ahead, especially with staff working from home or even staff being furloughed. So we tried to redesign that and make it available online. So that was a challenge, but we managed to do that, and we're starting to roll out now online webinars, online sessions for companies and their employees to try and give them that financial knowledge and understanding and confidence. And it's been very rewarding, actually. It's a nice area to work in.
No, that sounds wicked. I could definitely do with some financial education. If this lockdown has taught me anything, it is that. I don't know how I can go from saving money on petrol to be spending 3 times the amount of money as I do on food. It's crazy. But no, yeah, guys, honestly, I can't believe a show has never actually gone this wrong before. I just thank my lucky stars that I had 2 great guests on who could talk their way through it. So thank you guys so much. And the insights you've given us, not just on finance, but also the sporting world and the whole economy in general for where sports plays a part in it is amazing. So thank you for that. Ryan, I'll come first to you. Where can people go and find you online?
For us, so the website is ronskiwealthmanagement.co.uk. You can find us. I'm on LinkedIn, Ryan Briggs, if anyone wants to connect with me on there. Happy to take things forward and chat further.
Brilliant. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on, buddy. And Michael, where can people find you as well?
Very similar. Not his website, obviously. But so as is Elite Sports-marketing.co.uk, but very much like Ryan, I practically live on LinkedIn. So the best place is to connect with me there if you want to talk about sponsorship, not only in the UK, we also work in Europe and the US as well. So pretty much covered all bases.
Yeah, brilliant. Michael, Ryan, thank you so much. Brilliant chats with you both. And if you've only just joined, make sure you do subscribe and go back and watch the whole thing later on, because some really amazing insight there about grassroots and how everything happens behind the scenes from a opportunities perspective with Michael as well. So guys, thank you so much for coming on. I do have to now move over to our 90-second tip, and Pip is with me.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. You're right.
Yeah, good. You?
I'm pulling my hair out. I'm going to have none left in a minute.
My hair out.
Look at that. You're back in the office.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
How is it without me there? Is that it? No answer.
Yeah, it's nice. It's good.
Is it nice? Oh, brilliant. Great.
Be back. It's starting to feel a lot more normal, or life is slowly going back to normal, which is good.
Yeah.
Good for the mental health. No,
definitely. And of course, we're back with a second season where everything seems to be going wrong without having a sidekick next to me. So one thing that doesn't change, though, is the value that we can give to people when it comes to helping them out with their marketing strategy. And of course, we do the Digital Beans 90-second tip because of that, to try and offer some insight and some help where we can. So what is today's 90-second tip going to be about?
Well, I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to stick 2 tips in there today.
Lovely.
I'm going to still try and stick it in 90 seconds.
And what are those tips?
I like to go over. So both of them are research based. So very much kind of taking this time to kind of plan content, plan product ideas, a bit of competitor snooping, and also just kind of a bit of research around what your competition are doing online. So it's very much research based for different things. So
that's a lot. That's a lot in 90 seconds. Are you sure you're not biting off more than you can chew?
I know. Yeah,
which, by the way, just for everyone out there who's watching, the pressure is on for Pip because we involve the whole team in a 90-second tip now. And the only person who doesn't nail the tip inside 90 seconds is actually Pip. So let's see how this goes.
Maybe with 2 tips, maybe I can squeeze it in 90 seconds.
Let's see how you get on. Looking forward to this. And obviously, with all this, we'll talk about it a bit more afterwards as well, about the importance of doing it. So I'm going to put 90 seconds on the clock.
Hang on. Bear with me. I'm just picking
my window. Share your screen. That's a point.
Right. Can you see it?
I can't see anything yet.
No.
You
should be able to.
Maybe it's not even my microphone's fault. Maybe it's just like that StreamYard doesn't like to work today. Maybe StreamYard has Thursdays off.
No.
What have you done?
I've got issues. I've got issues in my Mac.
No, please don't tell me you've got issues as well.
No. I promise you. Yeah, it's coming up with an error. This is not.
Do you need me to pad whilst you restart?
No, don't need to restart, but I need you to pad that, yeah.
I can pad, that's fine. So, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got loads of content coming up, and we've got a lot to get through. So, every single 90-second tip that we do on this show, it has its own place on our YouTube channel. So, hit that subscribe button, and after this show today, go to playlists. You'll then see a few playlists on there, including Let's Do Lunch. And another one you'll see is how to improve your digital marketing strategy, and improve is in capital letters. Within that, you will be able to see a number of 90-second tips, including how to set up goals in Google Analytics, how to find killer content ideas, tips to making great video at home, how to create lookalike audiences, and so much more, all down to the point of how you can nail a blood transition effect in Adobe Premiere Pro. Are you done? Are you ready? No, now you're frozen. That is such an amazing way to freeze. You're looking perfect. I'm actually going to take Pip out because I don't want you to screenshot that, because he will he will not be happy that would have been screenshot and put across the whole internet. So go and check out that playlist, and of course, once Pip has done his screen share and he has done his tip today, we'll make sure that we put it in that playlist. What is wrong with all the technical difficulties today? This is crazy.
Good padding.
All technical difficulties everywhere. It's not stopping.
Can you see my screen now?
I can see your screen. I've got your screen.
Yeah?
There it is. Right, so I put 90 seconds on the clock.
Okay, let's go. Yeah.
This show has
we have
been
any more problems.
crazy. Right, 90 seconds start now.
Okay, cool. So tip number one, a cool website that I've only recently discovered, explodingtopics.com. Quite a simple, straightforward site. Great for kind of, exploding topics, really. So if you want to find topics and ideas to use for content, for social media content, blog content, whatever, this is a great tool to come to. I like the fact that you can change the time, so you can go right back to 15 years and pick your category. It's also good for business and e-commerce. So if you select e-commerce, then you can change your time period. It will show you all different products. So again, CBD gummies, if that's something that you're interested in selling, you can see the trend, and it often tells you the number of searches per month. So that's really good as well. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is to see what ads your competitors are running on Facebook. So what you want to do is go to facebook.com. This is a good one. Scroll down, right-hand side, you see page transparency, see more, and then go to ads library. And then when you go to the ads library, you'll get a page like this that shows you all of the ads that they're running and have been running in the past. So it's a good idea to see what things are possibly working for your competitors, get ideas, but also maybe look at people in your industry, not just your competitors, for some good ideas as to some good ads to run.
Is that you're like, look, and it's still got, look, ready?
Yes.
You done it inside 90 seconds.
Oh, that's a first.
And you know what's great as well? You hit on there about seeking out competitor ads, and Ben actually done a 90 seconds tip completely on looking at competitors ads. So make sure you go and check out the YouTube playlist that we were talking about a second ago, because you can see what Ben was saying as well in much more bigger context as well. So go and check that out. See, it all links in. I might have been padding, but I knew psychologically, I knew that you were going to say something about.
You're a professional.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I've never seen exploding topics before.
No, so it's a new one for me as well. Quite recent, that one.
Why is it important to pick up on these trends and start creating content around them?
Well, I think a lot of people struggle to know what to post about and stuff like that. And if you go onto LinkedIn, obviously they've got recommendations there and trending topics there, but ultimately that sometimes they can be a bit kind of spammed to death. Because obviously, everyone's seeing very similar trending topics there and everyone's sort of jumping on the same thing. So this is perhaps another way to expand your thinking and expand your research as to what to be talking about and creating content around. But like I said, what I like about exploding topics is that it's not just to use for social media. Pick up on a trend for a blog post, pick up on a trend for a video, something that isn't quite big enough for it to reach, the trending topics on like LinkedIn or any other platform. It's also great for new product development. So again, it's not their categories aren't massive at the moment, but it's definitely got a few there that would be helpful to a lot of people, especially in the consumer goods kind of niche. So again, new product ideas is a great one. So it just does a lot of research there for you, ready to go, and then you can do your own research, taking that basic data they've got there.
No, that's brilliant. I like that. That's really, really good. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for nailing it in 90 seconds as well. Guys, make sure you hit subscribe. If you've missed a tip, we'll get it up a little bit later on. Thank you guys for watching. What a show. I have never been so happy to click the end broadcast button in my life. This just has been crazy, from mic failure to screen share failure. It has been brilliant. But Michael and Ryan, two brilliant guests. So if you get a chance, go and watch it back a bit later on. Interested in hearing about the financial economy of in sport, and a great 90-second tip there from Pip as well.
First time I was interested in listening to a football conversation and actually kept my attention.
Yeah, I could see that your attention was kept as well. How was the football last night, by the way? Did you enjoy it?
Don't know what you're talking about.
Pip, thank you for coming on. Thank you guys for watching. Hit subscribe, and I'll speak to you all, hopefully with no problems, I hope, on Tuesday at midday. Speak to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.